Chapter 42. J and Matt. Ramming speed. Jacob said the words, but saying them didn't make the wind blow any harder against the sail. Everyone just looked at Jacob while the raft slowly closed the gap, now only 20 feet from contact as they sailed parallel to the shore around the nearby island. Jacob was careful not to cut too much to the inside of the turn, wary of running aground. Bro, you know saying that doesn't make us go any faster, said Manu. They could now clearly see the orange raft. Shen and Nakamura were paddling, and some of the stolen luggage that was filled with supplies was visible in the center. One thing was missing. Where the fuck is Matt? Can anyone see him? Jessica had stepped up on the pile of bamboo for a slightly better vantage point and was cupping her eyes against the sun. Everyone looked, but no one saw him. Hey, assholes! Where is Matt? She shouted over the gap between the rafts. Nakamura glanced backward, then stopped paddling and stood up to face them. Jessica, we left the cripple and some of your supplies back on the island. He's injured, but if you leave now, you might be able to get to him in time. He had a smug smile on his face. Captain, we need to get Matt. Jacob didn't adjust the sail. He thought, if we let them go now, we likely won't get another chance to get the Tidestone back. We have enough people to risk splitting up temporarily. The beach was only 50 or so feet off to the right. Jessica snapped her fingers in Jacob's face. Hey, we need to... Jessica, are you a strong swimmer? Jessica was momentarily stunned by being interrupted by the question and then furrowed her brow and got louder. You expect me to swim? Just turn the boat around. You mentioned a first aid kit on that raft. You might need it for Matt. Can you swim? Jacob asked a bit more firmly and met Jessica's gaze. She looked at the beach. Yeah. I can make it. Fuck it. Asshole. Jessica kicked off her shoes and dove into the water. Jacob nodded. Okay, Ina and Brennan, go with Jessica to the island and help her find Matt. Nope. Brennan was still humming to his bees and returned a disdainful look to Jacob. Ina looked at Jacob like a child that was just sent to her room. No. I want to hit the thieves. She tossed her rock up in the air and caught it. Jessica might need your help with Matt. They aren't even crew, and the cripple will be useless anyways. I want to fight, and I want to get my stuff back. Jacob stepped closer and lowered his voice so the others couldn't hear. Ina, as first mate, I need to be able to rely on you. Sometimes I will ask you to do things you may not want to do. You are the best swimmer here, and I want you there because I trust you to handle any surprises. Ina's expression softened. Unless you think you can't catch up to her. Jacob gave a mischievous grin. Ina's eyes narrowed. Bros, it's all good. I'll go after Jessica. No, human, you are too slow. Ina turned and focused at Nakamura and then gripped the rock in her hand and her arm went back. Nakamura was watching them and he shouted and hit the deck as the rock flew through the air we had just been. Drown it! And then she was diving into the water after Jessica. Manu watched for a second, confused, but then saw how quickly her shadow under the water moved toward Jessica, who was almost at the beach. Wow, she is good at swimming, said Manu. Yeah, she's got a skill for that. The raft's approach had been interrupted by the quick chat, but Jacob moved once again to the sail and it billowed out once more as the wind caught it. Nakamura, who had risen after it, was clear no more rocks were headed his way, was seen saying something to Shen. Then Shen stopped rowing and picked up one of the containers, then held it out, showing a clearly visible red cross. Using 2 hands, he threw it away from the raft into the ocean.
Jessica is going to need that if she's going to have any chance of saving the Crippa. It might not float for long.
Nakamura gave a superior smile. Damn it, Jacob sighed. Manu. There was a splash as Manu dove off the raft to start swimming for the first aid kit. Jacob thought, not worth trying to take them on with just me and Lou. Damn. Jacob took down the sail and the raft slowed. Why are you doing this? There was enough room on this raft for everyone. This place is dangerous. We should stick together. Jacob raised his voice as he called out to Nakamura.
Now that you've lost, you think your words mean anything? Do you think I'm stupid? I have your supplies. I have your map. I know about the trade outpost.
He smirked.
You better be quick. According to this, the currents will be changing soon.
Jacob shook his head as Nakamura floated away, then turned to watch Manu, who was nearing the red container. It started to droop and then sunk below the waves. Life sucks. Matt sat on the moist dirt that had started to leach water into the sweatpants that Jessica had dressed him in before they boarded the plane. The only consolation was that he was so dehydrated that he hadn't yet soiled himself. Jessica had been hired by his parents when his mom had finally gotten tired of taking care of him 2 years ago. This was a year after he had lost the ability to eat and speak. His parents were rich, so they could afford it, and they had their own lives and 3 other children they could focus on. Matt didn't even blame them. Not really. He had it better than many people in his position. They would still spend time with him when they were home, but when they traveled, he was usually left behind. It was actually Jessica who had pushed for him to join the family's trip to Hawaii after she found out that they were leaving him behind. His parents agreed as long as she accompanied them. Of course, their plane didn't have a seat left that would accommodate him, so they had to schedule a separate flight. And that flight had crashed into an alien world. Somehow. If Matt could laugh, he would. He had to be one of the unluckiest people on the planet. Juvenile ALS was so rare it had taken a year for the doctors to figure out what was going on. His parents had thought it was just awkward balance from his growth spurt that was causing him to trip over himself, except it just kept getting worse. He remembered being so angry when he finally heard the diagnosis and was told that not only would he not get better, no more soccer, no more climbing trees, but in fact, he would get worse until his mom would have to wipe his ass. Then eventually feed him through a tube. It wasn't fair. But that was life. Now he just gave himself 5 minutes every morning to let the anger out, and then locked it away. He acknowledged that life sucked and it only got suckier as it went on. That's just how it was. He liked to think he had accepted it. Speaking of the suck, he thought, is that more I hear coming my way? A skittering noise came from behind him as something moved out from the waterlogged portion of the marsh. I bet that's the owner of the eggs that Shend was kind enough to drop me on. Matt's eyes pressed as far to the sides in their sockets as they would go. Sure enough, a large brown crab crawled into view. Heh, it's actually the most normal looking creature here so far, except it's the size of a large dog. I wonder if it had lunch yet. The crab paused as it noticed Matt. It clicked its pincers. Hey there, buddy. Don't mind me. Seen your eggs? What eggs? The crab moved forwards, right up to Matt's leg, and then the tip of a 2-foot-long claw snapped out. Hey, no need for that. Please stop. The claw bit into Matt's legs and pain erupted up his leg. Ah, fuck. The thing with ALS is that only the motor neurons stop working. The sensory neurons still worked just fine. If Matt wasn't in agony, he would be thinking about how unlucky that is. His breathing came in short, ragged bursts as he hyperventilated through the pain, eyes wide. He watched as the crab withdrew a bloody piece of his leg and brought it to its jittering mandibles, daintily nibbling it. Oh yeah, eat it, you fucker. Is it good? He felt blood leaking out of the wound and dripping down his leg. The crab let the leg flesh fall out of its mouth onto the ground. At least I taste bad. The crab snapped its claws again and started to move forward, closer. No. No, it's not fair. Fuck. Stay back. The panic that came over him was a key that unlocked his anger. His eyes narrowed. This stupid crab. I used to eat things like you. The others will kill you and cook you. Get back. The crab paused. Matt imagined a crab being consumed by fire. This was something he did frequently. If a therapist could communicate with him, they would probably label it a coping mechanism for his lack of control. It had started small, like when people wouldn't hold the door for him when he could still walk with a cane, and he would imagine them tripping. But as his condition worsened, his thoughts became more dramatic. An unleashed dog barking and nipping at his legs would be imagined getting run over by a car. A station that canceled his favorite show caused a daydream that included them being bombed by terrorists. On the plane, when the people behind them didn't think he could hear them complaining about Jessica reclining his seat, he imagined them drowning. The world didn't need inconsiderate people like that. Or crabs. Yeah, you better stay there. One step closer and you'll cook. Then a smaller leg extended onto Matt's foot and it started to climb over him, huge claws advancing. As Ina quickly approached the beach, she looked around under the water. Jessica had just hit sand and was standing up, but that wasn't what concerned Ina. What concerned her were the brown-shelled crustaceans that filled the rocky ocean floor, and the few that had lifted off to swim silently after Jessica. Normally, if she were on her own, she would just camouflage herself and the stupid crabs would never find her. She imagined she could probably take one or two with her obsidian rock. What skills did the human have? Some kind of healing, she thought? She was faster than the crabs and hit the beach just as Jessica had taken her first steps onto the sand. Jessica heard her come out of the water. Did the asshole captain send you? Well, thanks for coming anyways. Why are you... Ina sprinted by her. Human! Run! Jessica ran after her. What's going on? They could just get into the tree line before the crabs left the water. It wasn't far. They made it to the edge of the marsh and Ina crouched down and pulled Jessica down next to her. Ina flattened her hand like Jacob had showed her in the do nothing sign and put it in Jessica's face. Ina, What's going on? Doesn't the stupid human know the signs? She thought. Shh! Look. Ina whispered urgently and pointed. Three huge brown crabs exited the water and paused at the edge of the beach, looking around. Don't you know this? Ina flattened her hand and put it in Jessica's face again. Means to stop and be quiet, she scolded. Jessica looked confused. No? I don't think the crabs know where we went. Thanks for warning me. Ina looked at her. This, she formed her hand into a fist, means throw rock, okay? Throw a rock? I don't have a rock. Oh, Ina hissed. Okay. Uh, any other signs I should know? Ina narrowed her eyes. Were there more? Jacob had only mentioned two. Learn the simple ones first. He thought, I'm going to have to check with Jacob. Okay, sure. We really need to find Matt before those crabs do, said Jessica. Sure, they haven't eaten the human Matt yet. How do you know? Jessica asked. They still look hungry.